welcome to episode 84 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and with me is Deegan.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. A little bit of a slower news week this week. We have, the release of the mobile client, so we're going to talk about that, as well as some PC client talk, because we've seen the emergence of basically some new clients and a little bit of disputes on which ones to use. We said last week we were going to go dive in and try each of them out and give a little pros and cons list. We got that going as well. But anyways, let's just kick it off with what have you done this week?
So this week I haven't really done too much in terms of playing my main account. This Friday, I'm going to have a little thing for 250 raid kill count.
Oh, is this Friday the date?
Yeah, so it'll be Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, shit.
Twitch.tv/DeaconRS.
Nice.
Just for a little fun. I don't know. And I'll probably make some silly video afterwards too, with highlights or something. So if you're not the biggest fan on Twitch, I'll throw it up on YouTube or something.
Got any teasers on what's going to be going down on Friday, or do you want to wait till then?
Well, it'll be a solo raid, so don't expect me to do full webcam cam modeling type stuff. It'll be me doing a solo raid, but there will be a twist, I guess. I'll have no pants on. No, there's yeah, I don't really want to say too much. It's not gonna be super amazing. It's just a little fun, silly thing, I guess. Just whatever. So I'm pretty much at my goal, and I was pretty much there last week, but I just kind of want to take it slow, I guess, in terms of I only need a couple more kills, but I want to save them so I'm not extremely super rusty for that one solo.
Right.
So I'll be spacing them out this week to get that, and then I have some stuff all planned. That's pretty much all set up. Just have to do one more little thing. Anyways, so because I've been playing my main that much, I decided to finally get up on my next pure that I've been building.
Is this not the Zerker, the Obby Mauler?
No, well, the Obby Mauler is technically it's done. It's just not maxed.
Okay.
He's already been set to PK. I've finished every quest I can do, minus myth gloves. You don't really use myth gloves on a Obby Mauler.
Just get the combat bracelet.
Yeah. I'll just say this quickly. Difference between combat bracelet and myth gloves is that you get a +1 accuracy on your attack styles, except for magic, and then you have +1 defense on everything.
From the myth gloves?
No, combat bracelet's +1 on offense, minus magic, accuracy.
Oh.
Myth gloves is +1 on strength. I mean, on defense, sorry. Minus magic. They have the same strength bonus. I mean, typically the combat bracelet's just better to use.
Yeah, okay.
Especially for an Obby Mauler, because one attack, you want all the accuracy you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so this guy, he's going, the final build will be an NH Tribrid, so he'll be deep wildy, but using all 3 attack styles with 52 prayer.
So you have a new pure being built right now, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So this week I've worked on him. Pretty much, I did all the free-to-play skills. I got that what I would need for the questing and stuff done in free-to-play. And I just kind of messed around a bit. And then I did some of the quests too, just kind of min-max my bond.
Mm.
And then I threw a bond on him, and what did I get done? I got myth gloves done. I got the waterfall, Grand Tree, all those quests, Vampire Slayer, all that stuff done. Those attack experience quests that peers do. Got the climbing boots. I think that's it. I actually have to do Mountain Daughter still. I'm going to be doing that today after we're done recording on stream.
Nice.
Do Mountain Daughter, and then I think I have to, after that, grind for Ava's. And then after I do Ava's Accumulator, I got a AFK train to 7, either to 60 or 75 range. I'm not too sure. And then I'm going to go get either 43 or 50 prayer, and then go get the fire cape.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And 60 because you unlock the dark bow. So when you're doing getting the fire cape as a pure, it's pretty much the same as doing it on a main. The main thing is that there's a couple waves where you get attacked by multiple styles. So you'll have a major on you with a ranger, and that kind of fucks you up. And there are little ways. I've been doing some research Because in my mind, it seems like it's super easy to do it on a pure. I'm just like, oh, it's the same as a main.
Just buy 1,000 purple sweets and you're good to go.
Yeah, just tick eat the range guys, pretty much. But no, not really. Yeah, I've been like looking up. There's like little tricks you can do to make it easier. Yeah, so I'm thinking I'll be able to get the fire cape, and like, I'm thinking my first attempt, but maybe it could be really hard, and I just don't realize it because I don't see too many pures with a fire cape. Too many low-level pures. I see maxed ones with it, I guess. But anyway, so the 60 range would be if I want to use a dark bow. There are methods you can use where you can determine where Jad's going to spawn on wave 3.
On wave 3.
Yeah, so wherever the level 45 spawns in wave 3 is where Jad will spawn. And
wow,
also, when there's the two mage guys just before Jad, the orange one will be where Jad spawns. So there's two ways to kind of know, but you can kind of manipulate it where if you want Jad to spawn in a certain area, you just reset on wave 3 until you get the 45 in that right spot. And that's what people, when they're doing one prayer capes, they do that. They get Jad to spawn on the one side of the Italy boot, which is just like a little location where by a wall that kind of looks like a boot. But yeah, anyway, so I have like some more questing to do, and then a little bit of grinding, and then another quest, and then fire cape, and then after the fire cape, I'm gonna just rush the barrel chest anchor.
Oh, you're making an anchor pier.
Well, he's gonna start off as one, because like
Nice.
anchor piers are like super shit. I was like looking into the numbers.
Yeah, they are.
You could have the same, like let's say you're at like 70 range and you have like 60 attack and 40 strength, which is the minimum stats of the anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have 50-50 attack and strength and you have a G-Maul. Like it's the same max hit, but a G-Maul just has the spec.
Yeah, and what you see a lot of people do with the anchor is they'll combo it with the G-Maul, so you throw in a spec there right after hitting with the anchor.
Yeah, the spec, at least on like the base minimum stats for like those baby pure accounts, the spec has a +2. Not really, it doesn't really matter too much.
Sorry, did you say what defense level you're getting him to? Or if any defense at all?
Yeah, it's gonna be one, just a NH Tribrid pure, which is no honor Tribrid. So I'll be like Deep Wildy, killing PVMers.
Nice.
Killing Venezuelan bots, you know, that's pretty much what I'll be doing.
Everyone's favorite.
The main thing is I notice most people make a pure and then they get really fucking bored with the account because they're like, they hit those like 80 stats and they're like, I'm kind of close to 99. I might as well grind it out. And then either the bond runs out and they stop caring, or they just get bored of the account. Like what I did was I only had my range up. Like I purposely didn't do any of like the melee quests or anything like that. Obviously I used magic. Like I used Fire Strike to like kill those guys afterwards. But I went and got 50 range, so like that was like my only combat stat, 50 range and whatever HP. And then I went and started killing the Black Chin bots.
Okay. What level are Black Chin bots usually?
3 to 40, I noticed.
Yeah, okay. Because I know there's usually like a set combat level that they try to hit so that they can start botting. For instance, the charging orbs in the wilderness at the Edgeville dungeon, they seem to be between level 45 and like level 60.
Yeah, I see like between 38 and like 60, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have like there's like a general level and they just like do shared training on like men, I guess. I don't really know.
So okay, so and then Black Chins are between level 3 and what was it? What was
3 and like 40. I haven't really been keeping track of it, but you'll see them with like the ones that are really obvious, they'll be like level 14 or something. And they'll train like maybe 5 to 10 defense, and then they'll have those hit point levels, and then they have 40 prayer for protect from range.
Right.
And magic. And it's super obvious. Like, dude, I've seen so many of these bots, and I know they're bots because like I'll explain in a second what I was doing to kind of grief them for a bit when I was bored. I will like check their stats, and they have like 30 plus mil hunting experience.
Wow.
Like they fucking bought, and I think they bank like every 30 or every 20.
Yeah, makes sense.
The most I got was 19 out of like that. I don't know how many I killed. I killed a decent amount though. And you can tell they're bots because like what would happen is, so I would jump one, I'd like hit them, and I got the magic. I would use the magic short bow imbued so I could just double spec. and I'd have enough time to hit once and then spec twice before they put up their prayer, and then they'd walk in the exact same path, stand there, and then if I hit them like one or two more times, and like then they would just telly out, and then I could telly with them, and then watch them go all the way up to like a canoe, cut it, and go straight back, and I would just start attacking them, and that's what I was doing to grief one of these bots, and I did that for like maybe 20 minutes at one point, and he just kept doing the same route, just the same fucking thing, would bank his glory after he used his telly, and he would just like, you know, get a new one once it's out of charges, and like they're all like the same level, the same weird name.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's pretty shitty, but what are you
Quickly
gonna do about
to
it?
go back and explain though, so you mentioned a magic shortbow imbued. Originally, the magic shortbow, to use its spec, it takes 55% energy. But with the bounty hunter shop, you're able to imbue it so that it only takes 50%, and this allows you to obviously shoot twice with a full spec bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of bots. You can kind of, I don't know, just the way they're set up. My experience for killing bots in the wilderness is, as I said before, when they're charging orbs, I go on my anchor peer, because he's like level 55, so you find quite a bit of them doing it. If you're running to the spot to charge your orbs, you have to run past these black demons, which, you know, they could hit you if no one's attacking it, and they might hit you for, you know, a fair hit, especially at a lower level. What you can do is stand right by the ladder, wait for a bot to come in, and then you could smack him once, and he's not going to teleport out because he thinks, you know, the script is predicting that it's going to be a black demon hitting it. So you can hit it once, he goes up, then you follow them up the ladder, and you just sit there and watch them charge a bit, and then you can go like, okay, he's charged enough, I'm going to kill him now, and hopefully get a good hit off and finish him off. You get like one hit before they teleport, though.
Yeah, like when I was doing that stuff on my Obby Mauler, I would like, because I have a chance at like my level, if I find the odd one that's like a low level, I could actually just one-shot them.
Yep.
So it was pretty nice. It was kind of fun to do, but annoying when you hit like 6 zeros in a row.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I guess it's nice that the black chin spot is like right at like level 32 wilderness or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of range to.
Oddly enough, though,
levels.
like like you would find more pures trying to kill them than actual bots. So it's not like every world I'm like, oh, I can't keep up with all these bots. Like there's like maybe like 5 or something on at a time, right? But the issue is that dude, I mentioned this before when I was hunting black chins. There are so many pures trying to kill them, and what I found out like this week is that they hunt in teams.
Oh yeah,
like there are people that get in a Discord or team, well, they're PKers, so probably a team speak and wonder how they get DDoSed. And they like, oh, there's level 33 here, let's jump them. And then like 4 of them log on and it's single combat, you know what I mean? So it's not like they can really do much. And like I sit there and fight like 3 of them and it's like, I don't kill them, they can't kill me and I can't kill them.
This guy's fighting back, I don't know how to do it.
It's super weird, like, I don't know. I'll probably go back once I get like 61 range or something. Rune crossbow with the Dragon Bolt E. And get that spec. But yeah, that's long time away. Gotta get that fire cape. So I need to get like 60 or 75 range for either the dark bow to spec Jad and make it a little bit easier, or just the blowpipe.
Crazy. You're pumping out those pures, aren't you?
Yeah, it's pretty much there. I think that's it for me though. I probably did some other things. I did some like raids. I'm pretty dry on raids, so I'm kind of hoping that for like the 250th, that's where my unique drops.
The nice fat Tebow.
Yeah, I'm like 30 or 40 raids dry right now. Or no, I've gone 30 or 40 that are unique, so I'm only like 7 or something. 7 to 10 dry. Doesn't matter. Anyways, what'd you do this week?
My week, it's not that it's been slow, just nothing interesting has happened. I'm just basically doing Slayer for the most part with some NMZ on the side because I want to get ready for when the Theater of Blood comes out June 8th? Is that what we've decided?
June 7th.
June 7th, that's right. So I want to be prepped for that. I want to have as close to max level as I can get with some decent loot. So yeah, basically just blasting through Slayer. Got 96 Slayer this week. Got 96 defense this week. And 96 magic. I should be 97 defense by tomorrow because, basically just doing Slayer. When I'm looking to be more AFK in the game, then I'm kind of jumping into everybody's favorite minigame, Nightmare Zone. So just doing some of that. I guess we'll give a brief description of Nightmare Zone, because there might be somebody who's not quite sure what the rage is about Nightmare Zone. So I'll just quickly explain it. It's a mini game they introduced where you can fight quest bosses over again. But what makes this so good is you can select, I think it's called Rumble. So you select the game mode Rumble, and you can choose which bosses you want to fight. And you want to pick basically the simple bosses who aren't going to do anything like crazy, like no Elvarg, nothing like that. You pick a bunch of easy bosses, which are like the Black Knight Titan, Count Draenor, that Hellhound from what's that quest?
Fight Arena Bouncer.
Yeah, Bouncer from Fight Arena. There's a handful of them. You can probably find them on the wiki or whatever it is. But you pick some of those. You buy a bunch of absorbs and overloads, or if it's your first time going, might be a good idea to spend some money and bring some prayer potions in, just so you can get that first initial bunch of Nightmare Zone points. Because once you are able to buy a full inventory of, I bring like 20 overload doses, and then I fill the rest out with absorb potions. Once you get your first full inventory, you could basically just keep paying for those overloads and the absorbs yourself each time you finish a round of Nightmare Zone, because you can get so many points from it. So the way I do it is I bring full D-Herox, I bring a Dwarven Rock Cake, and yeah, the absorbs are basically like a shield. You can give yourself 1,000 damage points worth of a shield, I guess. And with the Rock Cake, if you bring yourself down to like 1 HP, every time they hit you, they can only take off 1 damage from your absorb. So like with 1,000 points, that's a lot of hits you can take. So yeah, basically, they keep spawning once you kill them, and you put yourself on auto-retaliate, and you just kind of let your guy go to work. And it makes it for some fair experience, and you don't have to pay much attention at all. Like if I was doing house chores the other day, so I had this running, and I'd come check it every couple of minutes to make sure my overload didn't expire. And then if it did, I just drank another dose, rock caked down to 1 HP, went and did some other stuff, come back and check on it. You know what I mean? Like it's super easy. And we've talked about it in the past how I guess it's debatable, but it's probably not the best thing for the game. It makes getting maxed melee stats kind of a joke.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, max combat stats don't really mean anything now because
super easy to get. It's great. Or if you're playing like a game on the side, like Fortnite or League of Legends, it's way too easy to just let your guy go to work. Make sure auto retaliate's on, because there's a few times where I'd go off and do something, come back, and I hadn't had auto retaliate on for like 5-10 minutes. But yeah, it's a pretty easy way to get some of those stats. If let's say you want to get ready for the second raid, then yeah, you just kind of do this. Now the thing is, it's not going to give you that much money with the points. The points allow you to do a bunch of upgrades to a bunch of items. Things like the crystal bow and the crystal shield.
The rings, Zerker, warrior, archer, all that stuff.
Yeah, all the rings, the Slayer helmet. A bunch of different items allows you to do it for, so it's kind of necessary for that stuff. But once you have all those upgraded, really the only thing you want to be buying is like the herb boxes. You can buy, I think it's like 10 of them each day. Yeah, you can get a fair bit of money just from the herbs you get from that. Yeah, that's Nightmare Zone, so I've been blasting through some of that as well. When I'm not doing Slayer, yeah, hopefully I'm going to be ready for Theater of Blood when it comes out. Yeah, besides that, I don't think really anything else happened. Just, fuck, that's it. Slayer and Nightmare Zone. There's my week right there. Which, that being said, I think it's time to slide into the news.
Not too much this week, just some Android beta stuff. The Android Always On beta has started, so you would have gotten an email or like a message in your message center on your Runescape account if you got into the Android beta.
Yeah.
I didn't, but Dills, did you?
Yeah, I did. I got in for the second time. So quickly, I want to go back and make a quick correction from last week's episode, because when we first talked about how they were going to be having a new Android Always On closed beta, 10,000 people were going to be let in. I thought you would be able to reapply for it. They didn't really say whether or not you could. I'm pretty sure last week I said you could click on that web page and it would keep you updated. And I just thought there'd be another thing being like apply for the beta. But that didn't turn out to be the case. They were pulling your applications from the very beginning when they were taking applications.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my bad, my mistake for that one. But on a brighter note, yeah, I got him for the second time to the closed beta.
Nice.
Going back, that's where I was doing a lot of Nightmare Zone as well, was at work. I'd have it going on in my pocket, and I would just pull it out every now and then and click the overload, click some absorbs, rock cake down a bit, go back to work. So, yeah, it feels really great. I said last time when they were doing the beta that it felt like really nice, and still the case. The whole thing just seems great.
How's your bandwidth and battery usage?
Yeah, it seems pretty good. I was at work when I was doing it for a bunch of it, and there was one period where it was like 9 a.m. or something like that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go on and do a little bit of Slayer before I start on my next task, because it was like half an hour till break. I'm like, I don't really want to get started on my next task right now. I'm going to kind of want to wait till break, but whatever. So I jumped on, and I had an ice troll task, so I was canning that. The task took a lot longer than I thought it would. It took me like half an hour to do it, so I'm sitting there on my phone, but it only took down like 10, 15% of my battery maybe. But at the same time, I had a podcast playing in the background. I had a 1,000 different apps and shit opened in the background as well, because I have a problem with not closing those when I should.
Max brightness.
Yeah, max brightness.
Bluetooth, all that good stuff.
Exactly. So it does drain your battery, but a lot less than I was expecting it to, because I play a lot of different games on my phone. I thought old school RuneScape would be just taking so much more power away from the battery, but didn't seem to be the case. It seemed to be a lot less heavy than some of my other games I have, which is kind of surprising. And this is what's kind of bizarre. Like, I don't understand how this works out, but when I'm on break, we have our little break trailer. I get no service in that trailer. I can't watch YouTube videos, or if I do, it takes 5 minutes just to load it. I can't browse Reddit because it takes me 2 minutes per fucking tab thing I want to open up. Can't check websites. It's just huge pain in the ass. But with old school RuneScape, it doesn't run smooth. There's a bunch of lag, but I can still do things. I was doing the Kraken task. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I thought I was going to be lagging and disconnecting every couple minutes, and I was able to kind of go through it. There's some points where I would lag and I'd be taking a few extra hits from the tentacles, but for some reason it uses less data than some of the other things that I usually use my phone for.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good to hear.
Yeah, it might just be a coincidence. Maybe my data just got a better reception at that time. I don't know. Anyways, worked out pretty well. Sorry, you got anything to talk about for the dev blog of the mobile client?
Yeah, so they added some new things. They have a single touch withdraw X in the bank. Same thing with the shop functionalities of buying and selling. Makes it easier if you want to do those buyables, if you want to buy some buyables, if you're an Iron Man, you want to buy some runes or whatever.
Hell yeah.
You can just do that 14 withdraw or whatever you choose. Yeah, they have a mobile exclusive controls tutorial as well that's been added. And if you are like Dills and got into both betas for some goddamn reason, I'm sitting here with no betas. Maybe I gotta just buy a new phone. My phone's pretty old.
See, I get no boss RNG when it comes to loot, but when it comes to this sort of stuff, man, I'm on fire.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it is no longer possible to access fixed mode on mobile. Supporting fixed mode alongside with improving mobile functionality isn't something we can offer. An exact port of the desktop game, which is arguably what fixed mode was never really viable, just due to the screen sizes of all the mobile devices. Your UI would be completely whack, and your touch screen would be like the size of a nickel. like you're not your touch screen, but you name you're where you fucking move. Your mini map would be the size of your actual character stuff. Your UI would just take up everything. Yeah, zoom settings will now persist over logging out, and is no longer possible to tap between menu stores on the side of the screen. This was particular annoyance to many of the players trying to open a certain menu, but then accidentally move their character elsewhere.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did I word that properly?
Yep.
People were trying to open up a menu, and they would just like run into the wilderness and die.
Yep, I could see that.
Yeah.
So talking about the interface real quickly, you do have a lot of things that can open up. Like you got your chat, and then you have the inventory or your magic spell book, your equipment page, you know what I mean? Whichever one you're putting on for that one. With them all open, you still have a pretty decent view. But on top of that, you can close them. You can do it on the main game on your computer too, but you can close them. And when you do that, just the client, it's super clean. Like you're just able to do so much. The only problem is I was doing it for the Kraken boss. You kill them and you can't see your drops, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. It's good.
More importantly, I guess, the X that you get on PC when you click. If you click on something that doesn't have if it's like a walk here, you get that yellow X, or you click on something that like has a function, I guess, like fishing, and it's red. They replaced that with circles, so you'll get like a yellow fading circle and a red fading circle, so you kind of know where you clicked.
It's pretty nice. I didn't have too much problem before when it was just the X, but the circle is more clear to see.
Yeah. There have been some GitHubs and some phishing. There's been a lot of phishing for the beta.
Yeah, like scamming links.
Someone posted okay, so this was kind of dumb of me, but I did it in a not super dumb way. Somebody posted a like GitHub. I was browsing new. Someone posted a GitHub. There's been a lot of like random like working mobile beta GitHub thing. Here, download this. And I was like, you know what? This might be a scam, but let me try this out. So I go on my laptop and I have like virtual machine and stuff like that from when I was in programming. Sure. And on that, I have like some software that like resembles like an Android phone. You can like some streamers like play mobile games on the computer by using this. And I had to like update it to one of the newer features, and I tried downloading it and then fucking with it. And I went and made an account. I went and made like a completely different account with a throwaway email and all that stuff. So it was like there's no way none of my shit got infected because I'm on a laptop that I've never really played RuneScape on. Even like there's nothing. It's just like a laptop I don't really use too much. Besides like I don't know if I'm going to a buddy's house or something. We're landing. Maybe I'll bring it. Anyways, plus it was on virtual machine. I did it in like the safest way possible in a safe environment, and nothing worked. Nothing worked in the GitHub, and I like went and double checked, and I saw someone like posting like, "Yeah, this doesn't work," and I'm like, "Oh, this is probably phishing. This is a phishing site." And so like I haven't even like checked the account that I made for it. I don't know. It was just like literally a spam account. It was like the equivalent to a bot account, pretty much. Random email with like for a name, you know.
Yeah. You're gonna see him out there hunting black chins.
Yeah. Next thing you know, I'm on my pier and I see Deegan hunting black chins.
Imagine.
Be pissed. But no, that was like earlier this week. Obviously, like not gonna get hacked or anything. I did it in like a safe way.
Yeah.
So like reported it. That got taken down pretty quickly, like off the subreddit. But I've seen a lot of like one of them even made the front page, and I don't know if that one specifically was a phishing scam or a phishing link download. I don't know. I just tried like the one, and it like didn't work. So I'm like just assuming they all. But anyways, people are like kind of showing all these like potential sneak into the beta. Here, I made a client that lets you sneak into the beta.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can buy upvotes on Reddit, so just because it's front page doesn't mean it's safe. A little heads up.
Exactly. Yep.
Lot of emails people have been getting, though, and, like, on their Facebook, there's, like, fake posts and stuff for all these scams. It's everywhere. So if you are curious if you got into the beta or not, just check your RuneScape, like, message center.
Yep.
And if it's there, then you definitely did, and just go through that stuff.
Yeah, like I didn't even get an email this time around, which was interesting because it's not like I blocked them because I get an email every month telling them what my progress is on my main account. I didn't get one this time for the mobile client, and I checked, you know, I always go check the message center first, and, you know, lo and behold, I got the invite from there. So, again, we've said it multiple times before in the past. Be super careful if you're trying to get into the beta. You're not going to be able to sneak around it and like download some APK file and play the mobile beta.
Yeah.
Because Jagex has to green light your one account to get in.
Yep.
I can only play my Dills account. I cannot play my Pure or anyone else's account on my mobile client, only my main account.
Yeah, you can't really pull the wool over Jagex's eyes this time. Sadly, I wish I could say there's a way to sneak into the beta, but whatever.
Yeah. Doesn't seem that way. Unless you're going to go to, Jagex headquarters, pay them, bribe one of the JMods to sneak you in there.
Yeah, drop a bunch of spades and mod jeds, like, I don't know, meme.
Don't even do that, though, because they'll probably just scam you.
Yeah, some
sort
sort
of
of
you'll
meme.
be on Reddit. Yeah, then you'll be on Reddit crying about how your account got hacked for some reason. Then one of the Jagex mods will come on there and being like, you actually showed up to the headquarters and you had a piece of paper with your username and password and slipped us, I don't know, Canadian Tire money.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the beta. They did maintenance on the German worlds. Little Audubon repair. Besides that was pretty much it. If the stability of the build, if they're happy with the beta, they will be sending out more invites, but don't expect that anytime soon.
So quickly, I want to go back, though, and talk about one little aspect of the mobile client was they have these new controls specifically for the mobile client, which I don't know if it's just because it's in beta that we don't see it on the PC version, because I can recall them saying they're not going to do any changes to the game. That's going to be exclusively for mobile client. If it's going to make something easier on mobile, then they're going to allow you to do it on the PC for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about things like clicking and you get a circle now. I'm talking about things where like you can do a one click and withdrawal 14 from your bank, right?
Yep.
So that they allow in on the mobile client. I think you mentioned it before. You can set a certain amount, and then I was doing Herblore on mobile, and I just click, boom, my unfinished potion. I click the ingredient, and you withdraw the 14 of both, which made it really easy. But for the PC version, you still have to right click it and then go down withdrawal 14. I'm not saying the PC version should have it, but I don't think mobile should have it if PC won't be having it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if they don't want mobile to have a distinct advantage. For example, I don't know if you can still do this now, but there was a way to get like a fuck ton of magic experience per hour, which was enchanting bolts, and you get like a touchpad and you just open up a client or something on the touchpad and you could sit there and just like as fast as you could, and you would get crazy experience. They don't want things to be like that. For a lot of things like skilling, they don't want people to like, all right, let me log into my phone and go do some Bibles. Like, so yeah, if there's anything that like is a distinct advantage, they're going to be putting it as a toggleable probably, but they'll be working it into a function or like in a way to, so you can do it on PC.
Yeah. Hopefully we see that. Otherwise that I don't know, that just seems weird because I don't want to be going on my, exactly as you said. I don't want to go on my phone to do Herblore because I can just easily click on my potion in the ingredient and boom, you withdraw 14 with the single click. Sure, since you're on your phone, it might be a little bit more annoying because like you have a smaller screen and stuff like that, but it's still, that kind of makes it easier than the PC. It's not hard to right click and then go down and click 14, but we've all been there where we misclick it.
Here's what I'm saying. So once the mobile officially comes out, you should go and get like a budgie or like some sort of little bird. And I'm saying this because you can train birds to like, defecate in their cages. You can train them to do a bunch of weird shit. And you could train your bird to elk for you potentially.
Yeah, maybe.
You could like, there's definitely a way to, and that's why like you get a little bird so it doesn't just crack the fuck out of your screen 2 seconds in. But you could, if you spend the time, you could probably train your bird to elk for you.
You probably could. Now my question is though, do birds have like are their beaks warmer than I don't know, because you can't, on your phone, you can't take like a pencil and do things with it. It needs to have some warmth to it, right? From like your body.
Yeah. I swear I've seen like probably some sort of weird, it's like 3 a.m. and you're like about to go to bed and like you see YouTube auto playing and it's like crazy wacky cats taking baths, like that shit just pops up and you're just auto playing that on your YouTube account.
Yeah.
I swear I've seen like birds. I know I've seen like lizards and shit playing games on the phone. Not just dogs and cats.
They do sell styluses, like the pens for phones and stuff like that. And I don't imagine those have a little warm sensor thing on it. Could be. I don't really know. I'm kind of talking out of my ass for that one.
Let me look this up. A bird playing mobile game. This is clickbaity, isn't it?
Oldschool RuneScape?
No, there's not a bird playing. This guy playing a bird game. Let's see. Okay, maybe not a bird. Oh, yeah. Look at this. My lovebird playing game on the iPad. Oh, yeah. Look at him play. Easy. Tiny little bird running around playing a game. You definitely train it to do some high elkin for you. Crafting, like, Bibles would be a little bit too much, but, like,
Now, do you think that should be bannable?
Nah, dude. You can account share. You're just account sharing with your animal.
Wait till we see a new bannable offense called birding.
Nice.
You can have botting and then birding.
Ratting?
Yeah, okay.
This is giving ratting a whole new meaning. But yeah, just saying, you guys got any birds, start training them. Apparently it's not too hard. You just gotta be consistent and hope they're not old as fuck.
Yeah, that's true. Although you can get like a parrot and they live for like 30 years or some shit like that.
Yeah, but those things will just smash the fuck out of your screen. Just like boom, crack. You need to buy an extra phone. Like, I don't know, it'd be brutal. Might need to put like rubber padding on the screen.
Just put like 7 screen protectors.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's. I think that means we're out of things to talk about for mobile. I should say this because with this last week's update, they added like a thing on the main Jagex website where when you first logged into your account, you had to enter in your birthday. And if you have yet to do that, they might have taken it off because there were some issues. As in, if you put in an age that was under 13, you just couldn't use the site. Like, you couldn't use your account on the site.
Shit.
I was like, I don't know. I wanted to just like make sure my account security was all good. I was just going through my account. I do that once in a while. And I had to like put in a birth date. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't think I've ever had to do this. So I went and put in a birth date and it was fine. But on the subreddit, there's been people that just like, what is this? And they just click OK and they say that they're born January 1st, 2018.
Yeah.
And then they can't log into their account.
3-month-year-olds on here? 3-month-year-olds.
3-month-year-olds.
How do you say that?
A 3-month-old?
Oh, look at you.
A quarter-year-old baby?
Yeah, quarter. Yeah, we can do fractions.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's one way to make sure your account doesn't get hacked is making sure that you literally can't log in and change the password or remove the authenticator. I think they went back and fixed it, or I think they went back and changed it at least, because there was a lot of people that just couldn't use like their account, like stuff, settings. It was really silly. I just want to mention that. If you're prompted and you're under 13, just lie. Just say January 1st, 1990. I've been doing that since, I guess, 2008. Since when that was the 18. It's a good fallback.
Yeah, which makes it like when I was younger, I used to do the same thing, which made it problematic for like recovering accounts. Cause like, how old are you? I'm like, fuck, what did I put?
Yeah, I always did like January 1st, 1990 or 1980, or maybe it was 1900. Like I think it was like the 1900, like literally like double zeros. Scroll all the way down, thinking damn, there's a guy who's like over 100 playing MapleStory. Wow.
We need to get an interview with this guy before he dies.
He has the schedule of an 8-year-old. That makes sense, I guess.
Quickly before we move on from mobile clients, though, they did add a frequently asked questions for the mobile client. So we'll quickly go through them. There's 4 questions here. First one being, how can I apply to be invited to the closed beta test if I missed the signups last year? Answer, unfortunately, we do not expect to reopen signups for closed tests. The honest answer is that we're still seeing massive installation and usage rates for each group of players we invite. With this in mind, we're confident we have the testers we need to continue with the closed tests. Next question. I signed up last year, but I have since changed my device. Android to iOS or iOS to Android. How can I amend my sign up? The answer is similar to the one above, as we're still seeing massive installation and usage rates for each group of players we invite. We're confident we have the testers we need to continue with the closed tests. A little copy and paste from the last one. Next question. I was or wasn't invited to a previous beta. Does this affect my chances of being invited now? Answer. Previous involvement or lack of in a previous beta does not affect your chances of being chosen. Each test specifically involves individuals who belong to whichever cohort we're targeting. And last question, I don't have access to the Runescape account or that I don't have access to the email I signed up with. Can you change it? I don't remember what Runescape account or what email I used to sign up with. Can you tell me? It's a little, I guess, two-parter there. Answer, we regret to announce that we won't be facilitating any requests for reminders or changes to either the email addresses or the Runescape accounts with which you can access the beta. There simply just isn't scope to do this for so many individuals. So yeah, I guess not a lot of information in that FAQ.
Yeah.
And they do kind of run down some known issues they have for the client, which is some of the mini games like Barrows and Volcanic Mine interfaces overlap with the side panels on certain devices. Changing device operating system settings while the app is running may cause it to crash. Some background audio apps like Spotify may be interrupted by in-game audio. Quick players can't be toggled whilst the mini-map is minimized. And quantity buttons are missing from deposit boxes. Yeah. Okay, anyways, I guess we'll stop talking about the mobile client because there really isn't too much more to discuss. So with that being said, last thing in terms of Jagex news, they have a summer special coming soon. So if you're a player who likes to spend their real-life cash on bonds for in-game cash, they're currently having a little dealio going on. So they're going to be having a 3 for 2.
2 bonds for the price of 3?
I'm trying to see. So maybe it's not just bonds because they say it. So I'll just read it. So it says get 3 for 2 membership. So maybe you'll just get an extra month or so depending on what you pay for. But for the bonds, you're able to get a 6 bonds for the price of 5 package. And as well as 3 bonds for the price of 2. Important to note, though, you can only buy each of those packages once for the bonds.
So, tinfoil hat, get the conspiracy going, get that conspiracy music going.
Oh, geez, you gotta warn me about this shit.
All right, one thing for the bonds, it's little microtransaction update, little buff to, spending your hard-earned cash for some in-game gold, which is fine. Membership prices are getting the bond prices are getting a little bit too high for my taste.
Yeah, which happened when they increased the price of a bond, right?
So let's start bringing that down a little bit, because I got a couple of peers I want to bond up,
Shit.
Don't really want to be, shelling out almost $4 million anyways. So, go buy some bonds, lower the price for me, thanks. Anyways, for the membership, though, this is a one-time fee. So you get 3 months for the price of 2, right?
Well, it says get 3 for 2 membership to experience the best members content we have to offer. With the Theater of Blood announced for June 7th and access to the mobile client expanding, it's quite possibly the worst time to go outside and do non-old school RuneScape things.
Yeah, so regardless, if it's probably you get 3 months of membership for cheaper.
Yeah, because then they have a separate paragraph where they talk about the bonds, where they have a 3 for 2 package of bonds. So I'm assuming those two things are separate.
Even if it's you buy membership even if it's some weird thing where you're buying membership from multiple accounts, doesn't matter. The fact that you're buying a special that's only temporary and you can only buy it once, what happens when that membership runs out? You're now going to have to pay more money for membership each month because the price change will be in effect for you.
Oh, you think that's how it works?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good little... If this is all true, that's a tricky one. Those sly devils.
So it comes into effect June 4th. 3 days before raids.
Hmm.
And it goes till the 21st of this month, 21st of May.
Well, it says you'll be able to buy the summer special from the 21st of May.
Oh, from the 21st of May, my bad.
Mm-hmm. So it's for people who are like, maybe they're... I think the way they word it is like, well, you're not a member, but you have a max level account. Raids 2 is coming around the corner, Theater of Blood. Why not get your membership going? Get a little 3 for 2.
Want to hear something even more fucked?
Oh, fuck, yeah, yes I do.
So the price increase comes into effect on June 4th.
Ooh!
Or if you okay, so it says if you've been unsubscribed for more than 14 days,
Yep.
but if you're using a special package, you're going to have to like resub. So I wonder if like they're using some sort of weird loophole to be like, okay, well now you're just paying more money. The thing is that they didn't specify that this won't like that they don't specify that this will or won't like screw you around when it comes to the price changes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, let's say you're somebody who's paying a solid $5 a month because you've been subscribed for like 15 years. So you're still paying the $5 a month today because you kind of grandfathered into the price change. What you're saying is you're like, oh, I want to get this package going. Who knows if you would save money from that $5? But let's just pretend you will. So they subscribe to it, but it does kind of cancel your thing. So now you're doing the summer special deal. When that's over,
you're gonna have to resub, but they say if you there's a possibility that you could get dicked around on your price changes or on the price changing. Obviously it's not 100% because they don't specify anything.
Yeah.
The main thing is that I'm worried about is that you're gonna be forced to resubscribe. That's pretty much my main worry.
Yeah, and then suddenly you go to resubscribe, or it automatically does it. It's on the menu. It's not going to be like the Dill's special $5 a month because he's been playing for so long. It's just going to have the menu of like 1 month, 3 months, and then 1 year. I think that's the way they do it.
Yeah, kind of just memeing a bit, but it could be a possibility. But I don't really think it will. I'm pretty sure there will be a grace period because if not, then like people will be kind of pissed, getting tricked out of.
That's the thing.
Getting tricked out of their money.
It's interesting to think about because you could be totally right. Like, that could happen, and they might either mistakenly do it, or Chinese overlords are saying there's too many people who aren't going to be affected by this price change. We need to get them off of it. So make it vague and do it quick. That's one idea. At the same time, we're not accusing anyone of doing anything, because we could be wrong. We could easily be wrong. I feel like we probably are wrong for this one, but I'm glad you brought it up because it's good to think about and look out for.
Yeah. I mean, chances are you should be okay, but I'm just saying.
But at the same time, how often do you go onto your credit card to see what the Jagex amount is coming out from RuneScape? You know how many times I go on to check my credit card and I notice I'm subscribed for membership on 3 accounts? I'm like, fuck, why am I on 3? I thought I canceled this one. You know what I mean? It usually takes me a while before, like, I don't check, I probably should, but I don't check it every month.
Yeah.
And I can bet there's a bunch of people who don't, and they just kind of pay it off because they assume everything's fine. But that's how a lot of companies do it, how they can get you. There was this one app I had on my phone where you could read free comics and free books on it, and you had like 2 months free. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it for the 2 months, and then I'll unsubscribe once I'm done during that month or second month. But as that company was probably hoping for, I forgot to check. And the next thing you know, it was like 6 months later, I look at my credit card and I'm like, why am I paying $15 a month for this stupid app that I haven't used in a long ass time? You know, they've made like $60 off me because I just forgot to unsubscribe. Or there's some companies that make it super fucking hard to unsubscribe. Yeah. You think you've canceled it. I had one for this like language learning app called Busu. I had unsubscribed from it, and then I thought I did at least, and then I noticed I was getting charged for it. So I went back and tried to unsubscribe, and I realized they don't make it easy at all. You have to send them an email, and they have to do it.
I mean, you can always just go to your credit card company and say that these guys are taking money from you. Cancel
Oh, yeah,
it.
definitely. It's normally what you should do, but you know what I mean? Sometimes I just can't be bothered. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it real quickly on just through here. It was my mistake on it. You know what I mean? I only paid like $30, but still, it's $30 that company got from you because of your ignorance.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a business model that some companies do, where they're hoping they give you a free month, they're hoping you forget, and you just keep resubscribing to it. But anyways, something interesting to think about and to keep our eyes out for, I guess. If you're someone who's going to be taking advantage of this summer special, go back and check, see if your prices got increased to the new membership pricing that they're doing, or if it's going to stay the same to what you're currently paying. On that note, shall we shimmy on to what else we have to talk about? All right, so now we're going to move it on to where we talk about community stuff. Didn't seem like a whole lot has been happening in that sense. Oh, I didn't see any uproars or any controversies or any interesting findings within the game from the community. Been kind of a slow week all around. Everyone's just got their eyes buried into the mobile client, it seems like, I guess. But we did mention last week that we're going to be trying out the 3 biggest clients for Oldschool RuneScape, because Rune Lite is this new client that's come out, and a lot of people have been kind of raving over it and saying, a lot of people just really like it a lot more than the other ones. And yeah, it gets a little tricky because you got 3 different clients.
I do want to say this. In the past 2 weeks, last time we were recording, actually, when I first started using Rune Lite, was it 2 weeks ago? I don't really know. Anyways, when I first started using it, and like now, we record at the same time, same day, there's over double, almost triple the amount of people using the client since. So a lot of people are switching over to Rune Lite.
Yeah, which is with word of mouth. People are always... I see tons of people recommending to switch over to this one. I see tons of people in the clan chat being like, oh, I just tried Rune Lite. Like, I've seen countless times people just saying, oh, I started using Rune Lite over OS Buddy, and I like it so much more. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We said we'd go through all 3 clients, do a I guess like a basic pros and cons list, because we can't do everything in the game. We might miss a few things, but...
Well, there's a 4th one that you shouldn't use, but...
What is it?
Rune Loader.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about last week how you mentioned it wasn't being supported anymore, so there's no more updates to it. And on top of that, there was some sketchy shit going on with it where allegedly, I guess, the guy who created that client was selling IPs.
Yeah, well, I mean, he tweeted that he was selling IPs.
Yeah, he straight up tweeted it, so...
Yeah. The only thing I will say, the only thing that the Rune Loader has to offer is that it's really nice for rune crafting. You're able to set like boxes, like indicators on your screen, so you could set like, where deposit inventory is and where your essence are on your screen, so you can quickly, as like the tick in between like opening and stuff, like you could be kind of like, it helps you go through your banking and stuff faster. But other than that, there's no more updates coming out for it, so I don't really think you should mess with Rune Loader in terms of like...
Especially because you kind of jeopardize your account.
That, but like, it's not being supported, and all besides that feature, every other client pretty much offers what it has. There's no really redeeming qualities to it.
Yeah, exactly. So, the 3 clients we're going to be talking about are Rune Lite, Conduit, and OS Buddy. I guess OS Buddy Pro.
Yeah, if you're using OS Buddy that isn't Pro, you're using a watered down client. So just use Conduit or Rune Lite. Because Pro is really where you get all like the good features.
Yeah, and that's really where it shines over some of the other clients because of the Pro feature. But yeah, we'll go through pros and cons that we've kind of gone, since we've been using it. Like I said, we might miss a few things because we only can do so much, and I'm not really necessarily changing my gameplay. Like, I'm just doing what I normally do, but I just kind of switch between clients each different day. All right, so we're gonna start talking about the first one being OS Buddy Pro. It's one of the older clients. It was and might still be the most popular for the, I'm pretty sure it was probably the original one.
Yeah. It was like the client to go to forever, up until recent, which is why we're now talking about it. So,
yeah, exactly. A lot of the clients kind of offer similar things, like the basics being like a high score tab where you can look up other players, like farming timers, a notepad,
yeah.
like a place to search on the Grand Exchange. So we're not going to dive into like all the things that all three of them have in common, but we're going to talk about what sets them apart from the other ones.
Yep. So at least like for OS Buddy, for like the UI, I think like the default settings for OS Buddy is really nice in terms of like the text and stuff, items on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice and bold.
The color coordinating of like, oh, it's a good item, so it's purple. That type of stuff, I think, is like the best out of all of them. It's not super customizable, but it's pretty much like you can set your price ranges to whatever you want, but typically it's really easy to just like it's nice and clean where like all the stat boosts are and all that. Typically it's pretty good. There are some issues where it's like you're an NMZ and like you can't really see your absorption because just where the boosts are.
Sure.
There's little weird things like that where like the OS Buddy UI will overlap onto other UIs that are in the base game.
Yep.
Which is kind of annoying. Kind of like a miscellaneous thing. It's not super UI based, but as of right now, OS Buddy has like the most accurate stat timers when you're using Preserve.
Okay.
Specifically, all the other clients I've noticed, they don't correct it. Like, as of right now, they don't correct themselves when it comes to Preserve. So let's say you're doing Vorkath or you're grinding like Zulrah and you're using Preserve. Just the way the skill works, people aren't 100% sure on how it works. Because I was asking people in RuneLight if they could, do that. And people aren't really too sure on how it works. So they're not really messing with it. It is on their list. But with OS Buddy, they kind of know how it works. So once it starts getting desynced, once the stat timers get desynced, it kind of corrects itself decently fast. The other clients don't. So it's like that's like my favorite thing I guess about OS Buddy. PVM wise, like doing Slayer and stuff, I like OS Buddy's method. I think you don't really get like mixed up, like because I play on a lot of multiple accounts.
Yep. So
it's kind of easy to like get your tasks mixed up where like I'll be on one character and do some Slayer and I go on another character where I have to do Slayer and I have to like do exclamation marks task and it shows my other account, like that type of stuff.
In one issue, but this isn't specifically just for OS Buddy. All the clients have this issue where like, let's say you're playing on your client, you get a Kraken task, you have to kill 120. So you kill like 20 of them, and then you go on your mobile client and you finish that task and you get a new task. It's going to still say what you had left it at before logging off your PC.
Yeah.
They all three of them do the same thing though. But if you do like check your Slayer gem or your Slayer mask, it'll update it.
Yep. On the topic of that though, it is really nice that you can do exclamation mark and then like type in your attack, like, leveled space attack, and it will tell everyone what your attack is or your kill counts.
Yep.
That stuff is like really, really nice with OS Buddy. I mean, if it's not accurate, you can just check your Ring of Wealth and it fixes it.
Fair enough. And also, I'm pretty sure that for it to be like when you do KC Calfight Queen and it tells you how much you have in the public chat, I'm pretty sure the other players need to have OS Buddy as well to see it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not too sure though. But yeah, that is like a really neat little feature. You can kind of show your EPing off that you have 5,000 Zulrah kills.
Hell yeah. Also, what I like about just like Slayer and doing PVM stuff is they have, I don't use it too much, but when I got into old school RuneScape way back, I really liked this feature. It was a tab that kind of showed you a list of all the monsters that you've killed since you've had the client opened.
Yeah.
It tells you the drops, how much money, and then it averages out like, oh, you've killed 120 trolls. The average drop is like 7K. You know what I mean? But it really breaks it down. That was kind of fun. It's not useful, but it's just kind of fun to look at.
Yeah, it helps for some nice information.
Mm-hmm.
Easy data. So, yeah, like bossing on OS Buddy and stuff is decently nice in terms of like, the timers are typically pretty good. Like when you're doing Slayer and stuff, it shows you where to put cannons.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's got like a lot of things, but the main thing is you have to pay for these features.
Yeah, so that's a big negative right there. A lot of these features require you to pay like $2 a month.
Yeah, and when it comes to skilling, I noticed like agility on OS Buddy is by far the worst out of the three, because it just shows like a green dot, and it's like for your, like, it makes agility not harder because it's pretty easy, but like you want to click the green dot, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That green dot is a guaranteed click, even though there are spots around that green dot you could click to, you know what I mean, to go over the obstacle.
Yes, it's not like the most accurate like type of thing for like agility, and for like other skills, it doesn't really bring too much to the table. Like, there's nothing unique about like fishing when you're on OS Buddy. Like, it just kind of pretty standard. Do you have anything to talk about with OS Buddy? I can't really think of much.
One of the biggest pro features to OS Buddy is that the Grand Exchange price tracker is probably one of it's better than the old school RuneScape's price checker.
Yep.
It's like very accurate. The thing though it comes from is people on OS Buddy, it tracks like what you're selling your stuff for, so all that data is collected from individual people who are also using OS Buddy. It goes to the website. So if less people are using the client, like the OS Buddy client, that's less data it can take from what you're selling and buying things for. But for the time being, it is still one of the more accurate price checkers. Anything you got to add there?
No, that's a good point though.
I would say another really big pro feature, which it's not super useful for everyone, but if you're someone like me and can really appreciate the look of old school RuneScape, it has a OpenGL mode you can turn on where it smooths out all the graphics. It gives you a skybox with clouds and stuff like that. And you can also, it renders it farther, so your view distance is a lot farther. You can't click much. You can't really click farther. When it first was released, you could, but now you can't. But it does make the game look really nice. It's still in beta mode, so there's a lot of buggy things. So like if you're doing some bosses, or let's say Theater of Blood comes out, you're not going to want to have OpenGL on because it's not going to show some of the animations and stuff like that. It's still getting updates to it, and a lot of the bosses that are out now, it's fine to use with it. I still play it safe and don't use it for the bossing things, but when I'm just walking around and doing, let's say, woodcutting or NMZ or doing basic Slayer, OpenGL makes the game look really nice.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. I know the graphics thing is kind of debatable because some people like the way the game originally looks, but I liked it when it was the high definition. I liked when the game came out with high definition mode. And so I really like that feature of the client, the OpenGL. That being said, one of the issues that I did have with the client, which it's been corrected since, I found that it was from time to time, it would get kind of buggy. Like some of the plugins would stop working. Like for a while, I had a big fishing grind to do. I had to get 82 fishing. And there was, for a solid week or two, where it wouldn't highlight the areas I could fish, and I didn't get notifications when I stopped fishing. A lot of things just kind of stopped working.
Yeah, that happens like a lot of skilling with OS Buddy. With like when I would do chinchompas and stuff on it, it would just kind of stop working like 30, 40 minutes in. I've always had issues with it unless they like just fixed it.
They do, like, that's something that they have fixed, because I had that problem. I am in the Discord for OS Buddy, so I can kind of see when other people are having similar issues, and a lot of people were. And eventually they fixed it, so those bugs don't exist anymore. But from time to time, you will notice that it gets a little buggy, which it does. That does happen with every client when a new update comes out, especially. They have to kind of, update their client with the game. A few times I had a little bit of a frustration, I should say, that things would just stop working, and I wasn't sure why, because it wasn't like a big fishing update that came out. It's just like the game would go into maintenance on Tuesday, and that would just cause some of the plugins to stop working, I suppose. I don't really know what it was, but it has since been fixed. But that was one of the negatives I had with it. I guess another negative I would put, it's not a big deal. Now that we have 3 clients to choose from, it's kind of, it does fall into a con to me. It's that you have to make a username to log into the game client.
Yeah.
You can sign in as guest, but if you're a pro, which obviously if you're paying for it, you're going to need to make a client, but sometimes it's annoying to have to memorize yet another username and password and to, type them in sometimes because it doesn't save. But, I guess that'll just kind of happen. It's kind of all I can think of for...
I think the biggest issue with OS Buddy is that it gets the worst FPS out of all the clients.
Oh, yeah?
I was doing some experimenting before I started streaming and stuff, and I'd consistently get 10 less FPS on everything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, than everything else. Super weird, but yeah.
I did just remember another pro for the client. It's that the clue scroll feature, they have a clue scroll helper. It's pretty good. If you have a coordinate clue, it'll bring up a map and it'll show you a dot of where you need to go dig. Or if you have an emote clue, same idea. It'll pull up the map and show you where you need to go do your emote. And then in the corner, it'll show you what items you need. That there is pretty useful.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the other clients also have this, but when it comes to puzzle boxes and clue scrolls, there's arrows with OS Buddy that you just literally click through the arrows and it'll put the whole puzzle together. If you're someone who struggles with it, that makes it a lot easier. But again, I haven't encountered it with the other clients, so that they might also have it. That I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
So that's all I have here for OS Buddy. Anything else you want to mention, or do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
All right, so the next client we're going to talk about is Conduit. So I know you have probably more experience than I do because I just started using this when we decided we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I know you use it for raids and stuff like that. So do you want to... What are some things you like about the Conduit client?
So Conduit has my favorite or preferred method of showing you obstacle courses for agility. It just these white wireframes of the click boxes. Just lines around it in a 3D cubes and stuff like that. So it makes it easier, but not super invasive on your eyes. So OS Buddy's a green dot. Rune Light is this big, gross green rectangle type shape around it. So it doesn't really look too nice. Conduit is just kind of there, and if you note it, you can kind of ignore it pretty easily. So it's nice and it's pretty accurate. The UI and stuff is not too bad. I know a lot of people dislike the UI for Conduit in terms of the stat boosts and all that stuff because it's kind of not as clean, but it doesn't really block anything.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice, I guess.
And I found the interface for Conduit, the text, they have a more medieval looking text when it comes to the Grand Exchange tabs or the high score tab. That could be a pro or a con depending on your preference, but it kind of it doesn't look like it's for a RuneScape client necessarily. It doesn't have the RuneScape text, but it kind of looks like, I don't know. It gives me a more RPG game look. You know what I mean?
I can't really say how it is for clue scrolls because I haven't done clue scrolls in the longest fucking time
ever.
I've done steps for a master clue. I don't really care for them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had any issues with any of that stuff. I do think that the main thing is the main reason why you should use Conduit, and I think most people that use Conduit is pretty much for raids.
Okay.
Because everything is just okay. Everything's not bad across the board for Conduit. It's all fine. But raids, in my opinion, it has the best use. I guess you get all the best use out of it. So it auto scouts for you. So the most annoying thing with doing raids 1 is before, when there was no auto scouting, you would either just do it blind, or if you're trying to be efficient about it, you would jump in, use the Conduit raids map, because at this point it was the only one that had a decent instance map.
Yep.
And you would look through both floors and then figure out which rooms were which. So you would see a Mutadial and on the bottom floor of the last room, and then you would see the Mystics or Vasa in the top floor, and you're okay, this is probably a good raid. And because from there you just have to you pull up these images, you have to kind of figure out the rotations by just looking at the maps, and then you have to find the skilling rooms. And, you had to do, a lot of the work yourself. Once you got used to it, though, it still wasn't too bad. But, I would always make silly mistakes. If I got impatient, I'd, This one is like a 50-50. Fuck it. We'll just try it anyways. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out it's a bad room. But they have a scouting feature that you jump in, and it just tells you if the raid is scoutable. It tells you the order of the rooms, and it tells you which skilling rooms it finds.
Cool.
Super, super, super nice. Even better though is when you're fighting like the lizardman shamans within raids, and they shoot these like gaseous like bubbles at you that like whack you for 34 or 36 damage. If you stand near them,
splash damage where it hits like in a box around it.
Yeah. So even before you see them shooting it out, like it puts an X on where it's gonna land. Like the second the animation starts, the thing appears, and that gives you more than enough time to move. Beforehand, without it, there's times where like you see it, but you can't move out of the way in time. So you're kind of forced to do these attack and move non-stop. But with like this new-ish feature they've added, it's made it so you can just never get hit by them. Nice. And it's the same thing with Vasa. It shows where Vasa's rocks are gonna hit. When you're like fighting Ohm and he shoots these like crystallized bombs, it has a timer on the bomb and it shows like it cuts the area, like it draws a square around the area on like where the bomb deals damage to you. And that is like super, super nice for killing Ohm. So like there's like it just kind of shows that it's by far, if you're raiding, you should really use Conduit.
Cool.
It's easily the best.
A few pros that I've noticed, these are smaller ones. Like they're not big deals, but they're just little things that I could kind of appreciate with the client. You mentioned with the stat boost, I think you said it gets kind of in the way.
No, I mean, some people don't like it. I like it. I don't really think it gets in the way too much. I think it's good, but I know a lot of people do have issues with it.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, this could be a pro or a con depending on who you are. So most clients like OS Buddy, and I guess RuneLite, since we're going to be talking about that afterwards, but they put the stat boost in the top left corner. With Conduit, they have it right above your chat box, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It kind of, maybe it's because I played like World of Warcraft and other games like that where they would do the same thing where your boosts and debuffs would be above kind of like your little bar at the bottom of the screen.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like centerized in like the one side. It's like closer to the chat, but it's not like directly touching it.
Yeah. So I kind of like that because I guess maybe it reminds me of some of the other games that I've played in the past, or maybe it's because it's more noticeable. So that's something that I like, that you could have them right above the chat box. That being said, I find that it can sort of clutter up with, like, if you have a bunch of stat boosts and stuff like that going on, you have your cannon out or whatever it is, it can kind of be a little cluttered down there.
Yeah.
So it's good and bad. But another thing that I kind of liked that I didn't notice with the other clients, it's that with your skill XP tracker, so for the percentage of how close you are to the level, it'll give you like to the second decimal. So it'll be like you have 59.72% the way to the next level. I kind of liked how it went to the second decimal because, again, I think it's reminding me of other games I've played in the past, like MapleStory, where you're wanting to kill in MapleStory, you wanted to kill monsters that gave you 0.02% of a level, nothing lower than that. So I mean, I kind of liked being able to see when you kill the Slayer monster, it gives you 0.03% of a Slayer level. So that was kind of cool to be able to track it more.
Yeah, like especially as you get to the higher levels, 1% doesn't mean as much.
Yeah,
and because the numbers get pretty big.
Yeah, for other clients like OS Buddy, if I'm training like, let's say, Herblore, or like Fletching or something, I would look at like, a full inventory gives me 1% or 2%. But I like how with Conduit, you could see each individual one will give you 0.13% or something like that. It just, I don't know, it's kind of fun to track it. It's satisfying, I should say.
Yeah.
But unless you have any more pros, you want to dive into some of the cons with the client?
Well, for me, pros, I do like the experience drops for Conduit the most.
Okay.
But you can customize and stuff.
Yeah, I should mention, too, a lot of these clients, I didn't dive in too much to what you could tweak with the plugins. Like, I kind of left it at the default. I do a few tweaks, so I'd look through it, but I didn't go hardcore and fully customize it to my liking. So I should mention that as well.
There are some things we're going to leave out because we don't want to, like, okay, this is one feature they all have. This is one feature they all have. This is another one two of them have. Like, it's like, that would be like 6 hours of talking about clients. So we're trying to be reasonable of like realistic things that people use them for.
Yeah, and a lot of people, if you're a lower level, you might not know how much you want to customize it to you. You might not, there might be just some plugins you're like, I'm just going to leave it at the default because I don't really know, you know what I mean? Know where this is going to affect me or where I'm going to need it.
Yeah. On the topics of like defaults though, I guess before we move on to cons, Conduit has my favorite zoom out of all of them.
Yeah.
Because so with these clients, you get customizable zoom out, like distances. You can zoom in and out. With Conduit, you can control and zoom in and out. You have a lot more freedom with it. And then you can also, I believe it's control middle mouse and disable zooming. If you don't like it, you can just disable it so you don't accidentally like fuck with it. But it's easily like my favorite for zooming in and out. I think it's just like the easiest, just the way like the character or the screen zooms out and everything, the distances I can get, how simple it is, all that stuff. Disabling it too, if I just want to like temporarily have it up close, certain mechanics for like a boss or something. Yeah, you want to go to cons now?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I feel like Conduit, I mean, this kind of is a con, but I feel like Conduit is the guy who is like the creator of Conduit doesn't care too much if people use this client. So it leads to some things being really weird, like the new, quote unquote, new superior extended anti-fire, all that stuff isn't actually, it doesn't work at all within the client.
Okay.
It will go for just the extended anti-fire timers and stuff. So when you're doing Vorkath, it'll say you're okay on like anti-fires, but you're actually not. You're like, it expired 6 minutes ago, and now you just took a 20 and died. True story. I was pissed. There's like a lot of like little weird things like that where you're like, how did he not get around to fixing this? It's been months and months. And it's just like, it seems like he just doesn't really give a fuck, you know? What do you have for cons? Because I don't really have too much because my main usage of it is raids.
Fair enough. I have a lot of like little nitpicking cons, but I feel like they're valid. So I noticed that with a bunch of items on the ground, the name of the item sort of would cover up some other items. Mm-hmm. Like the way it falls onto the item, it's like almost directly on top of it. So sometimes it would cover what actual item it is.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of it, obviously. But that got kind of annoying. I didn't like the way it counted your Slayer task. And I guess the amount of cannonballs you have in your cannon also falls into this category, where you would have to check your Slayer helmet to see the number it was on. And with the cannon, you kind of had to look. I think it fell in the buff, like your buff slot. You wouldn't be able to just look at the cannon to see how much was on there.
Yeah.
And the cannonballs too, it would tell you like, you had to look into your inventory and it would say like how many cannonballs are in your cannon, but you had to look at your actual cannonball item. Wasn't a huge fan of that. So yeah, that stuff just kind of made it hard to see, and like found myself kind of looking around to see how many I had left, or my cannon would just stop shooting and I'd notice like, okay, I guess I have to refill it. Another thing I didn't like was that you didn't really get item price when you put your mouse cursor over the item, or if you examined it, it didn't really show you the price of the item.
Yep.
So that's something you'd have to like check through the GE tracker or something like that. So it's kind of nice to be able to just like see an item in your inventory, be able to examine it, and then you would see it. Or if you're in your bank, you could do a mouse over and it would show you the price, where some of the other clients do that. And with the potions, I wasn't a fan that when, let's say you wanted to do your super combat, it would always tell you the max boost it would give you. It wouldn't say like, oh, you just used a super combat potion, so if you use it now, you're only going to get one level. It would always say like 15 or whatever the boost is from your original level.
You sure?
At least for me, that's what I had it. I didn't go through the options to see if I could change it, to be honest.
Oh, because I never had that issue.
That was just the default I had noticed, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. And another thing I didn't like was, similar to OS Buddy, you had to create an account in order to use it.
Yeah.
Like OS Buddy, you're paying for it, so it kind of makes a little bit more sense. But with Conduit, you had to make an account regardless to be able to use the client. So I wasn't the biggest fan of that because, again, as I said, it's just another username and another password I have to memorize. And I use like a password manager on my computer, so I don't know what my passwords are for certain things because there's just a bunch of letters and numbers and stuff, and I have it on this password manager. So anytime I want to use Conduit, I have to load up the password manager and then get it to manually put it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of annoying. For the most part, that's about it. Some of the bigger cons that I had noticed. Just, again, little nitpicky things, but, just things that, I noticed when I was doing shit. So, yeah. It seems like Conduit's made by somebody who does a lot of rating. They made it easier. Like you said, it seems like the creator doesn't necessarily care if people use it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he almost made it for himself and maybe his clan to use it while they're doing raids. Anything else you want to mention about this client before we move on to the last one?
No, I think he pretty much covered it all.
The last client we're going to talk about is Runelight, something that kind of almost popped out of nowhere and has seen a huge amount of popularity recently in the past couple weeks.
It's super weird because Runelight's open sourced, which means anyone can look at the code, and anyone, if you can code, you can contribute, or at least try to, if your stuff gets accepted. Like, it's like crowdfunding a project, but instead of using money, you just contribute to the program itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, use your smarts.
Yeah, I mean, there is Patreon and stuff, but whatever, irrelevant. So, like, it is kind of weird, like, put it in perspective. So they update every Thursday, just like Jagex does. And I believe this week they had 29 contributors.
Nice.
So, like, there's a lot of people working on it. Just kind of want to mention that because there's been, like, one reason why people are kind of going towards it and, like, it's picking up a lot of steam is that there's a lot of really interesting features that are getting added each week. And there's so many. Like, this last week they've added 5 pretty big features with a lot of bug fixes and tweaking of certain, like, things.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much, like, they've done. But yeah, 29 contributors, like, all that stuff. So, like, to mention that Runelight has been out for the shortest amount, but it probably has the most features.
Yeah, it's very customizable from what I had seen. The amount of plugins and stuff like that, you could do a lot to change it to really cater to your experience.
Yeah, so UI-wise, it's kind of weird because the placements, I hated the placements, but you can hold Alt and move shit around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can hold Alt, and the nice thing is that, so let's say you use a lot of Conduit or OS Buddy, and the UI, like for Conduit, the potion boosts are above your chat, but the stat boosts are up more, right? And they're different. And for, OS Buddy, like, all the stuff's in, like, the top left corner and whatever. So let's say you switch from those clients and you don't like it, you can hold Alt and change it, but where that typical UI is, there's, like, a snap feature. So let's say you want your boost to be on the top right of your chat, like Conduit, you can hold Alt and move them, and it snaps them to those spots to where Conduit would have it. Or if you want it above your character for some reason, because you're weird and want to cover up your character, you can just move everything on top of your character.
That's cool. I actually did not know that. That is very useful.
Yeah, it's super, super sweet that someone thought of that. So it's kind of weird that, like, in my opinion, it's the worst, but also the best UI, just because you're able to kind of customize it, whatever, but the defaults I don't like.
It's fair.
Text-based, the defaults for Runelight are the worst on default, in my opinion. I hate the default, like, text for items on the ground and stuff.
Yeah,
but recently they've made it very customizable, so you can make it similar to OS Buddy or Conduit or have something completely unique. There's new fonts, there's bold features and all that stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was one thing I had noticed. It wasn't too bold, so sometimes it was hard to see exactly what the item was.
Yeah. Do you have anything to talk about, like, the UI and stuff?
One thing I didn't like about a certain part of the UI is for your Slayer task, it shows up as just like a picture of the Slayer monster. And it would say, like, if it's a Kraken, it would show you a little Kraken dude and it would say the number. That's something I feel like I kind of like the text version of it. It's kind of like, this is more of a preference thing, but even I had a Mithril Dragon's task and it had a picture of the Mithril Dragon mask you get from Clue Scrolls. That was the picture they used. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like I would have rather have a text for it, like a text or it actually written out, which is like something like OS Buddy has.
Yeah, Conduit just uses like a Slayer gem and then the number under it.
Yeah, that's right. Conduit has a Slayer gem. OS Buddy has it written out, so if you have a Mithril Dragons task, it would say Mithril Dragons written in text. And then, yeah, you got Runelight that would have a picture of either a Mithril Dragon, or in that case, it was a Mithril Dragon mask. Another thing that is kind of nitpicking, but they all have a timer that tells you when your next stat change is going to happen. So if you're using like a super attack potion, has the timer that it's going to tell you when you're going to lose a level off that attack potion. So for Runelight, it's a picture of your skill tab, if you know what I'm talking about. It has it's like a bar graph. That one, it kind of, I don't know, it took me a minute to be like, what is that for exactly? Obviously, you can figure it out once you kind of actually think about it, but very minor nitpick though. One thing that I did like is that when you're doing Nightmare Zone and your overload expires, it gives you an alert, like it pops up. So when I was playing like League of Legends or something, it would pop up and like cover my minimap in League of Legends. So I was like, oh, I have to overload right now because
alt tabs your game and doesn't overload for you.
Basically, yeah. But it like was really in your face. So if you're doing something like Nightmare Zone where you really want to get your overload going as soon as possible, so you're not taking as too many damage points off your absorb potions, it was pretty nice. Yeah, because you would be able to click it right away. And for clue scrolls, I was only able to do a couple clue scrolls, I think, but I had a master clue scroll I did this week, and Runelight had a feature in it that made me absolutely love that client for doing master clue scrolls. So I know you're going to have no idea what I'm talking about here, but there is a certain clue you can get where you have to get this gem. I don't know if it's a gem, but it's some sort of device, and it's basically a hot and cold game throughout RuneScape where you have to click it. It's going to hurt you, and it'll say you're ice cold from your target, and you're colder than your last click. So what you normally do is you kind of move up one square, you click it again, and it'll say either you're warmer than your last click or you're colder. And if you're warmer, you know that, oh, I just walked one space north and it says I'm warmer. The place I need to get to is going to be north of where I am right now. So you open up the minimap. Oh, I'm in Camelot. It's probably going to be in the Fremenic area. So then you just go towards that spot and then you keep clicking it. With Runelight, it'll say like where you're up in the top right corner. It'll give you a list. When you first get that task, it'll be like, there is 40 different spots that your target could be. It's going to be like Varrock, Karamja, Western Provinces, whatever it is. Once you click that device, the hot and cold device, and if it says, like the first time you click it is when it pops up, and then if you move one space north and you click it and it says you are warmer than your last spot, it takes away every single option that's like, let's say, south of where you were. So it makes it really easy to figure out where you need to go. So like I would just move one space north, click it, boom, it would take away like half of them. So then it's like it's either going to be in the Western Provinces or on Zaya or in Tyranua where the Elven area is. So you're like, okay, fine. I click so you click to teleport to Arundel, you click the device again, and then it eliminates like 5 other options because now it's like, oh, you're a little bit closer. You look on the thing and it says that it's the only other spot it could be is Zaya. So you're like, oh shit, I'm going to teleport to Zaya. You click it again. And then it keeps breaking it down until it gives you like 4 specific spots it could be. And then as you keep getting closer to one of those spots and you click it, it'll eliminate them right until you have the one spot. It made it so easy to find out where I needed to go. I didn't have to open up the wiki to see the exact spots I need to be. It had it all laid out there and I had like no thinking involved when I needed to do it.
Yeah.
So that feature there I found was fucking so good for doing that. So if you're someone who's doing master clue scrolls and those hot and cold clues are super annoying usually, Runelight just makes it so easy. So that was one huge pro that I had. For you, I know it's probably indifferent, but like for me, I love doing clue scrolls, and that one feature made me like almost fall in love with this client.
Yeah, and this past week they added some more features to it. So the clue scroll locations will be shown if if it's like, oh, blah 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 blah, it's cryptic or something. It'll just like you open your map and it'll just show you where to go. So they've added more clue scroll features to it.
Okay, that's good, because for a while it didn't have that. It just had like an arrow pointing.
Yeah.
Which the arrow on your minimap is nice, but the difference between that and OS Buddy is OS Buddy would open up the map and it would show you that spot. So I guess Runelight has that now. So that's good. I guess that's on par with that one. They also have a thing where it's like, so with OS Buddy, I mentioned they had OpenGL, which kind of smoothed out all the models and your animations and made everything just look a lot smoother. And the skybox is what I fucking loved about OpenGL with OS Buddy. RuneLite doesn't have the skybox, and it doesn't have the models being smoothed out, but it does have your animation smoothed out. So you can just tell when you have that on that the attacking is just a little bit less clunky, I suppose, than the original game. That being said, I did notice having the smoother attack animations from time to time would have a little bit of glitches where it you know what I mean? Like, let's say you're swinging your axe, it would cut through the other model. Little issues there, but nothing too big.
Yeah, with smooth animation, I mean, I like it. I know some people hate it. Like, I was streaming it and someone was like, it's giving me a headache, you gotta turn it off. Because it is kind of weird to get used to. I like it a lot. I think it's just super clean.
Yep,
It's really nice. Skilling wise, like, random things like agility, I'll talk about that again. It's better than OS Buddy, but like, yeah, it's like these green cubes around the click boxes, and it really draws your eye to them, even if you're just running past them. Like, let's say you're running south from Falador to the bank, and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really invasive. Maybe Varrock is probably a better example. I don't know.
Yeah, very intrusive because, like, sure, it's nice to know that obstacle is there, but it kind of takes away from almost like your experience within the game, because now you got all these bright green blotches that are like, you can climb over this fence, and you're like, motherfucker, I already knew that. I don't want to see outline of it. I'd rather just see the broken fence. Like, it does make it good to click on, but it looks pretty ugly. Another thing I did like about the client, though, was we mentioned that it was very customizable. So all the clients have like a sidebar with tabs. So they have the high scores there, they have the GE tracker, they have like your skill experience tracker. All on the side, you click it kind of opens up this little sidebar that you can get more details on it. With RuneLite, it has a tab where it has all the plugins listed on the side. So I found that was very nice to have, because let's say you do want to go through and customize it more, you could easily do it while you're doing some Slayer. You just have that open and then slowly going through it. Whereas something like OS Buddy, you have to click it and then another window pops up that kind of covers your interface. You can move if you have two monitors, you could move the window to the other one, but it was just a little bit more of a pain in the ass. Like, it's its own separate thing that pops up. So I liked how RuneLite has it on the side. It just makes it a lot easier to look at, a lot easier to remind yourself, like, oh yeah, I can customize it more often without having to open up the options window and then going through it that way. So yeah, I like that.
One thing I must say is that RuneLite has the shittiest zoom out feature.
Yeah.
You have to go into the game settings and enable or disable it, and then zoom out. All it does is just make the zoom out features in the default client and like have a bigger range.
Okay.
And also you just use your mouse, which is nice, but when I'm playing, I'm on like Reddit and doing other shit, so I'm scrolling a lot, and sometimes I'll like maybe not click it when I thought I did, and I'm like zoomed out super far all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. The zoom out feature is like, I don't really like it at all. It's pretty shitty. But the one thing, like, it has really weird features, and one that is like, I like a lot, 'cause it's kind of cool. So in the game, there's fixed mode, and then there's resizable. Fixed is like what you used to play on when you were a kid, just, tiny box. It was like 640 by like 280 or something. I don't know. It's tiny. All the streamers use it and stuff, I guess. And then there's resizable, which is where you can full screen it and stuff. And I prefer resizable because I don't know if I like ADD or something. I don't really know what it is, but if I'm on fixed mode and it's not, and I just have it on part of my screen and I have anything else open, I get super distracted. Like, I literally can't focus because the screen is so small.
That's fair. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, and if it's like full screen and I have these massive black bars, it just bugs my eyes that like everything is just blackness. Life is black. What's the meaning?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You kind of get that when you're playing on it. Like, this is bullshit. So I like resizable because it takes up my whole screen. It's super nice. But they have a feature called fixed resizable. So you can play in full screen on fixed. Does that make sense? Where your UI is massive. Like, you still have, like, it's still like fixed, but everything's blown up to be a full screen.
Yeah, so it's scaled to the size of your monitor, but
yeah, so it does make it it does make your screen more pixelated, like not your UI, but like actually what you're fucking with, where the action's going down. That's a bit more pixelated and doesn't look as nice. I think they like changed it. I don't know. You can like make it look a little bit better, but it doesn't look as nice. But it is super neat to kind of not entirely full screen it, but to blow it up definitely by a big amount. And you have this like this huge UI that you can now click with, and makes it a lot harder to misclick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really neat feature that like I've always wanted to see if I would like, and I can actually play around with it sometimes.
Yeah, it's good. And I think we mentioned last week when you brought this up, or whenever you did bring this up in a previous episode, but for PKing and stuff like that, a lot of people play in the fixed mode because the smaller the screen, basically, the less travel distance you have for your mouse to do clicks. And if you're doing like a 6-way switch, you're having to switch between your prayers and all that all the time, you don't want to be moving the mouse cursor too much.
The last thing you want to hear when you're like PKing is like just dragging your mouse nonstop, picking it up and dragging it.
So I don't know if this fixed resizable mode will make it easier to PK. Maybe it'll make it easier because then you have a bigger area to click on to do your switches, sort of. But it might be like a middle ground between fixed and resizable.
Biggest thing is that it is really customizable. Yeah, it's super nice. Things like rating. Rating, it does scout for you. But so the way Conduit does it is it says it in your chat, but it also shows the images.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm a visual person, and I like those little images where it shows like shamans to like whatever. Let's say it's like, Muta's Devasa or something or whatever. Doesn't matter. I like seeing the images there with the skilling rooms. With Rune Light, it just shows the text.
Right.
Maybe it's something I have to get used to. I don't really know, but it doesn't have the projectile helpers like it does, like Conduit does. It doesn't have any of that stuff. So you're kind of gimped a bit. The one nice thing about Rune Light is that you can whitelist and blacklist certain raids. So each raid has like a code. Each layout has like a certain code. So you can whitelist these codes. But there's like a bazillion of them, right? So it's kind of a lot of work, Maybe the dream layout, there's like maybe a small handful, depending on your size. You could have whitelisted, but you can whitelist and blacklist certain rooms to make it a lot easier. So I have certain rooms that come up as green if they're like the ideal rooms. So if it's like shamans, mutadiles, Vasa, guardians, I think that's all. And then I have blacklisted ones, like ones I hate, which are Vanguards, Vespula, Tecton. And then the skilling rooms would be like, I have like thieving blacklisted and stuff. And then there's some that I'm indifferent. So like Ice Demon, I don't like it too much, but if it's there, like I'll do it. Like I'm not gonna hop out.
Yeah.
But whatever. It is what it is. It's like a neutral middle ground. But then the ones I really like are like Tightrope and Jewel Crabs. So those are green, like whitelisted, and so they come up as green. So it does make it easier to like, oh, I see a red text, I'm out. Oh, I see green text, I'm in,
Yeah.
Still, I think Conduit is easily like blows it out of the water for, rating.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Skilling and stuff, I do like how it shows like the fishing spots, has the image.
Right, whereas OS Buddy would just have a blue outline, but like OS Buddy would see, oh, you have a harpoon, we're going to outline the shark spots. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Yeah.
For Conduit, maybe, or for RuneLight, maybe just because I'm a visual person, but like it does the same thing, but it shows the type of fish above it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a shark, you'll have sharks chilling and shit like that. Maybe lobsters if you're fishing lobsters.
Yep.
So yeah, it's super nice. New features that I have yet to play with, but they recently added were you can like add notes to your friends, like back in the day.
Oh yeah, okay. So that is something OS Buddy also has.
Yep. I totally forgot about that, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, that's the thing. You use these clients so much, and there's a lot of times you're like, is this part of the official game?
Yeah.
Or is this specifically for the client? It's hard to tell. Sometimes, like, you don't notice it till you go on mobile or something like the official client, and you're like, wait, like, for a long time, this is going way back, but a long time you go on the official client, you're like, wait a minute, there's no fucking world map on the game? And OS Buddy, which was like the juggernaut at the time for clients, it had the world map. So you'd be like, I thought every client had the world map. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
The official game didn't.
Do you have anything else to talk about for RuneLight?
A negative I had for it was I don't like the GE tracker. If I want to look up, let's say, Armadillo chest plate or whatever it is, I have to type in armadillo and it'll show everything. I can't just type in arma and it'll show me all the words or all the items in the game that have the word arma in it.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm not a huge fan of, because especially when there's a lot of things like I might not know how it's spelled exactly. So I'll be like, does armadillo have an E at the end of it? Does it not have an E? You know what I mean? But
there's
like,
a Z in here somewhere. Where is it?
Yeah. So for example, let's say you're looking up a Zenite shard. You can't just put Zen and it would show you all the Zenite items. You have to spell the actual Zenite. And you might not remember how that's spelled because it's Zenyte. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it's one of those words you're just like, is that how it's supposed to be spelled? I don't know. You know, I don't know. But I just wasn't a huge fan of that.
It's just a lot more work. I want to be able to type an abbreviated, Zen. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. I found with the amount of plugins, and since it's so customizable, which is great, but at the same time, it was a bit overwhelming when I was looking at the menu. And it's like a huge list, and I'm like, am I going to have to go through all of these to kind of get this client to where I want it to be? Now, to be fair, OS Buddy is also similar to this, where like there's a huge list, and if you're looking for something specific, you're like, well, I don't know what category this is going to fall into. So you're like constantly scrolling through like tons of different options, and you're like, is this what I'm looking for? Like, I want to change the way my stats look, or not my stats, my stat boosts. I want to change the way it looks. So you got to go through and find it. And you're like, oh, okay, this is probably it. Boom. Then you got to change it from there. But I found it was a bit overwhelming coming into it for the first time.
Well, with Conduit and RuneLite, there are, well, all of them have it, but I think Conduit and RuneLite do it the best, where there's a search function.
Yeah, all three do have that.
Yeah, but like with OS Buddy, there's multiple. It's not like a master list. There's like the free plugins and the, you know what I mean, and then the pay to use plugins. But like with Conduit and stuff, I'd be like, okay, I want to change, like, say stat boosts. I would just type in stat, nothing came up. Boost, nothing came up. Timer, you know what I mean? Like, I just like try random keywords and hope they work, and be sad if none of them do work for something. But
yeah,
I think RuneLite is a little overwhelming if you don't want to, like, I don't know, if you're just glancing at it like as a general sense, you just like look at all your options, and like there are so many features that like you're like, oh, for fuck, there's so much to go through. But there's also like a lot of like really cool things that they have, like they have a Cerberus feature where it tells you what order to pray flick the ghosts.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
They have like a lot of random things, but some people that never want to do Cerberus, is just another option they have to kind of sift through if they don't know exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah,
it is kind of neat because they do have like a lot of people working on it. So, and there are really weird features like tile indicators. So you click on like RuneLite and it tells you which tile you clicked on, but like realistically, the average, it doesn't look good. Like it looks super weird. I use it for like raids sometimes because it's nice to know, if I misclicked or not, if I can blame the game or myself. But like, and I forget to turn it off and I'm like running around doing other shit. It looks so ugly. So it's like features that you turn on temporarily. Like it's, maybe it's nitpicky, but they do have some weird things that like, you never want. I should mention that RuneLite does have a low detail mode, and you're able to look at your FPS and cap. So if you're on like a potato, you can put on low detail and cap it at like a lower FPS to kind of help your PC out a bit.
Cool. That's good.
They do have some like really cool things though, like the Kourend library stuff, like the Arceus book stuff.
Yep.
They have features for that. Like they do have like a lot of work, and I mean, I think we kind of sound biased. I guess. Wait, do you have anything you want to talk about with RuneLite?
Well, the one thing I wanted to say was one thing that makes RuneLite really good compared to the other two is that there's so much you can customize with it. It's like you can really tune it to your gameplay specifically. You can make everything really nice. That being said, the default, like when you first load it up, like the way OS Buddy has it on default, you're just like, oh, I don't need to change anything. This is all working well for me.
Plug and play. Yeah, like, man, this is nice.
Whereas RuneLite, you'll go in and you're going to be like, well, in order to make this my new favorite client, I'm going to have to go change a lot of things to make it specifically for me. You know what I mean? So so to first start it up, you might want to fiddle with some things, it's kind of annoying. And then one decent con I had for it was that this is specifically not just for me, but a lot of people aren't going to have this problem, but there are some that had it. So I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to like programming and coding. I don't know a whole lot. I don't know what the hell's going on in my computer. I just know that I push a button, lights turn on, and now my monitors are working. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of an idiot with this sort of stuff. But when I was on RuneLite, I had it so that the sidebars just didn't work. They would work for like 2 minutes. And then whenever I was going to do a mouse over of whatever it was, whether it was the skill tracker or the GE search or the plugins, it would immediately like go blank. I couldn't see it. And then when I would mouse over that option, it would appear. It would just look really glitchy. It just started bugging out hard.
Yeah, you sent me a picture and it looked fucked.
As you're mousing over things, it looked like you had a dozen different sidebars opened up. And it just like...
They're just overlapping each other.
Yeah, exactly. And it made it impossible to navigate through anything. So after I joined the Discord to see about a fix, because this happened when I first downloaded the client. So I was like,
how do people like this? What's good about this client? I can't customize it, and it looks like shit right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew that obviously other people didn't have this problem, but I wasn't going to be able to give a good opinion of it because I can't do anything on it. So I went and looked for a fix for it. So I went onto the Discord, went to the support, and showed them a picture of what I was having. And it had a problem with my hardware acceleration, something like that. So they sent me a link to I think it's the GitHub of how you could fix it, which it just sent me like a link with a bunch of code in it. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks for sending me this. And then
if it's your first time on GitHub, you're like, everything looks like I shouldn't click it because they're ads and AKA virus. It's like if you're torrenting for the first time and there's 30 download here's and you're like, well, no one torrents because that's illegal. We all know that. But like,
you wouldn't steal a car, would you?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so GitHub, like, it's not user friendly in terms of like, if it's your first time ever looking at that stuff, yeah, you're kind of like, whoa, what are you sending? Where am I right now?
I would get this, and it would be a link that when you clicked it on the GitHub, it would give you like a code, and like they told me just to download it. And then I sat there just puzzled because, as I said, I'm an idiot with this sort of stuff, and I'm just like, am I supposed to copy this code and put it into something? What do I do? Eventually, I found out you had to right-click the link and save the link, and then now I have my RuneLite client, but I have to click on, what is it, like a BAT file, BAT file?
Okay.
So I click that, and then I have it, like, it kind of opens up. It takes a minute, but it opens up and everything's fixed after that. But anyways, my point was that it wasn't exactly newbie friendly. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of help that I was getting was kind of expecting me to have basic coding and like scripting knowledge, which I just didn't have. So I was like, oh, this is confusing. And yeah. That being said, I did end up fixing it afterwards, and now everything's good. So that's seemed to have worked out. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention, like specifics of the client?
Specifics. One thing I think is super fucking awesome is Entity Hider is like a plugin, and what that lets you do is you can hide certain things on your game. So let's say you want to like fish, and you're free to play or mine. I guess mine is not a good example, but let's just say you're fishing or woodcutting, and there's like so many people, or like, whatever. You're doing something and there's just too many people. You can open up this Entity Hider and like hide specific things. So you can hide players, friends, clanmates, local player. I don't really know what that is, but maybe it's yourself. You can hide attackers. You can hide projectiles. You can hide NPCs. And so like, if you want to like just hide a bunch of random shit, you can, and you can kind of, it's super nice. They do have some cool features, but the default literally hides everything, including fishing spots. You know what I mean? So
Sure,
it's not as user friendly. I think it's the main theme for this is not as user friendly as like say OS Buddy and Conduit. But if you're willing to sit down for a little bit and like just start from the top, like account. Okay, well I can't do agility. Let's see this. And you're like overlay colors. Oh, I can change them. Here's a color wheel. Okay, mark that. You know what I mean? Like you just go through them all and just kind of, I don't need to use these or ever like disable these. Like I think it will be a pretty good experience.
Mm-hmm.
One thing is that I feel like if you like looking at the weekly update stuff for Jagex, I mean, maybe not because you're listening to this podcast, but like they do weekly updates for RuneLite. So you kind of like, when did they add this? You might have to like look through that every week. There are some features that we mentioned before in another episode that were like a little overbearing, a little bit OP, so they took them out, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like that might be a reoccurring theme we see with this because since you have so many people working on it, you might have some, really OP plugins or whatever that get added to it that
can also compromise your account for being banned. It hasn't happened to anyone yet, for like using this client, but they have had things where they're like, you gotta take this shit out. This shit's way too good. I asked about tracking of like the shaman bubble bomb attack stuff, and they said they had one, but the JX said it was too good, so they had to get rid of it, which is weird because Conduit has one.
Yeah, and you mentioned, because I remember you saying, I wonder how good Runelight's version was if Conduit could still have theirs.
One thing I hate is that, I mean, it's the Discord thing, but it tells people that I have had Runelight open for 2 hours, even though I'm in the menu, but like people can see what I'm doing real time.
Right.
Geez, Deegan's been playing RS for 8 hours today. Again. Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? It's not super accurate though. Like I'll be doing like raids and it'll say I did 3 minutes of herb lore, a minute of farming, then a minute of herb lore, and then ranged. Oh, and then I went to the meal. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not super accurate, but the main thing with this client is it has like a lot of random ass shit, and I think it's like a lot of people are like doing barbarian assault, and they're like, well, I know every 30 seconds I have to do a call for like a change of attack style or whatever for my person. It would be kind of cool if there was a timer. I'm going to go make one, and they make one and submit it to the client and the developer, like the main devs, go over it, make sure there's no like rat or any like type of sketchy shit in it, no keylogging stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, fix it up, maybe whatever. They do their thing and then they put it into the game. The reason why I mentioned that is that like it's kind of like, have you ever heard of the phrase of like a camel was a group of people who made a horse type of a thing? Have you ever heard that?
Camel was a group of people who made a horse.
Who wanted to make a horse. It's like, I'm probably butchering it, it's a long time since I've heard the phrase, but like, if something's a camel, it just means like when there's too many cooks, spoil the stew or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many people working on it that there's some inconsistencies with the UI in terms of like how things look. I don't know. It's kind of something you'll like notice where like the blast furnace click boxes are completely different to agility, or like the cannoning optimal standing spots are different to like tile indicators. You know what I mean? Like just by default, like it's kind of like everything is what that person specifically preferred. So it can get ugly really quickly, and you kind of have to like sit down and make everything suitable for you.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is, too many people working on something, and the horse turns into a camel. It's like everyone's doing something, and everyone's different opinions on what looks good and whatnot.
Anything else you want to talk about for the Runelight client?
So I didn't mention this for Conduit, but Runelight and Conduit both have this, where they have NPC tagging and tile tagging.
Okay.
I like Conduits more. I probably should mention that before, but you can pretty much like set it so you can tag, like say you're doing Chinchampas, and you can tag a Chinchampa, and when you kill it, it'll spawn. So like what I would do is I would tag a Chinchampa, and then the square that I know one spawns, or I'd put the square where I know one spawns, then kill a bunch until one like spawns of that right square. Then I can tag it and then farm or like hunt them efficiently, I guess. Mm-hmm. Runelight has the same feature, but I do prefer Conduit just because it's the whole thing where like the UI, it's not consistent. But that's pretty much my overall thing.
Okay, so that's kind of the down and dirty of each client specifically. Now, the way I see the three clients is that Conduit, great if you're using it for raids, not the greatest for anything else, and that's me taking your opinion basically.
Yeah. Because
I haven't done too much raiding, and I wasn't a fan of a bunch of things with the client, and there's a few small things that I mentioned that I did like, but they're very small. They're nothing experience changing. Runelight, I'm a huge fan of it because you can like customize all these things. You can really make it perfect for how you play the game. To make Runelight a great client for yourself, you need to customize it. You need to change all the options. And like I said, there's a shit ton of options. Deegan, you mentioned how there is an option in the plugins list that is just for the Barbarian Assault Caller timer. So when you look at the plugins list, you have a shit ton to go through. Kind of not user friendly. But with OS Buddy, it has an amazing Grand Exchange tracker. OpenGL is pretty cool, but you can load up OS Buddy and never change any of the options, and it'll do everything you need to do. That's what I like about OS Buddy.
In fact, some of the ones that are like more invasive that aren't always used are they're turned off by default, and that's like, it's good because like if you're not doing, you know what I mean? You don't want to see like this shit weird, like this really weird like paint like coloring on something, and you're like, wait, what? You know, like it's nice. It's good plug and play. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, OS Buddy it's like everything you need without having to change anything. Well, RuneLite is very bare bones until you get into the meat and potatoes of all the settings, which can be kind of overwhelming to do. Problem with OS Buddy is you kind of got to be willing to pay the $2 a month, where the other clients are free. Yeah, if you're someone who just wants to load up a client and play it and not have to worry about any of the tunings of things, OS Buddy's the way to go. If you're raiding a lot, Conduit. But if you're playing RuneScape all the time and you want everything perfect the way how you want it, then RuneLite is great for that. What do you think about the 3 clients?
OS Buddy, I used to only use it for Vorkath, but now I don't even use it for Vorkath. Like I don't use OS Buddy anymore. Okay. I don't really like. It's good. It's good to just kind of like set up and you can just start using it. But like I'm really nitpicky. Obviously, I bitch about the dumbest things all the time. I bitch about everything all the time. So like OS Buddy, like I kind of like I mean, you know, it's fine, but I just don't like it too much anymore. So yeah, I don't know, having to pay for features that I can get in other clients and stuff. I don't mind spending like 30 minutes just going through I like doing that type of stuff and playing around with it and be like, I didn't really realize that this color scheme looks better for me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Conduit, I only use it for raiding now. If I raid, I just open up the client, log out, log in, we're set, make sure I don't show my pin on stream, and play. Like, yeah. And then RuneLite kind of, I guess, started off where like I would use it for a couple things, but now it's kind of my go-to, and I just kind of use it for everything.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell, because I kind of seem to like it a lot. Yeah, RuneLite is pretty nice. I rate that like my favorite, and then Conduit number 2, OS Buddy last.
So mine's kind of similar to yours. I might be a turncloak on this one, and then start using RuneLite for like everything. I'm using it more. I'm going to keep using it, but I'm not going to cancel my subscription to OS Buddy Pro just yet, because this is important to note that for a very long time, OS Buddy was the juggernaut for the clients, where everyone was purely using OS Buddy. So they could kind of slack off with certain things. But since RuneLite has gotten its popularity, OS Buddy has been pumping out updates, and they're working on it a lot harder. Like, I'm getting multiple Discord, like, where they tag everyone in a message about a new update that's just happened. It's happening multiple times throughout the week, because they're starting to realize, shit, we're going to start losing clientele to this. We need to step our game up. So it is good to note that there might be changes in the future where OS Buddy is cranking out some really good updates to the client. So that's something we're going to keep our eye on. And it's because of that, I'm going to keep subscribed to it just for now, just to see if it can overtake certain things, right?
Yeah.
But like you, since I play RuneScape a lot, I do like to be able to customize everything. But again, you do have to kind of set aside some time to do that. I think we've talked well enough about these 3 clients right now, and hopefully anyone who's listening can kind of, if you guys haven't chosen a client to go with, you can maybe decipher which one seems best for you.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to just give them all a try, and maybe you're like, these guys are idiots, OS Buddy's the best. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has different like opinions, and they like different things from these clients.
Yeah, I guess to sum it all up, doesn't matter your client, they're all better than the official client.
And RuneLoader.
Yeah, RuneLoader. We're not, that one's oof.
That doesn't exist. Let's not talk about it.
I think that's about it. I think now we should just move it on to our lore segment. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the kingdom of the Great Kourend, which resides on the continent Zea. The Great Kourend has a unique dating system much different than what we see on Gielinor. Instead of recording by each year, they record it by the decade. And we see dates like day 3325 of the 37th decade. The dates recorded for the Great Kourend are separated into two categories: decades that fall before the Royal Accord of Twill, and the decades that fall afterwards. Any dates that are recorded before the Royal Accord will be labeled as the decade before Accord, similar to how we recorded history with before Common Era or BCE. The Great Kourend was founded by refugees that fled from the mainlands during the God Wars in the Third Age. The exact date is unknown. At first, only the houses Arceus, Piscalarius, and Lovacane existed. Later, House Hosidius and Shazian were found during the Dragon conflicts which happened in the Fourth Age. During this time, we see the construction of the Shazian crypts, which at first would only hold Camoras Shazian, a warrior who fought alongside Robert the Strong, Tristan Corvo, and Avas during the Dragon conflicts. But later, these crypts would host many of the kings and queens that ruled over Great Kourend. During these early years, the 5 houses of Zea acted as separate territories. It was not until the 10th decade before Accord that the 5 houses were united into one kingdom by King Rada I. Most of Kourend's history at this time, and the uniting of the 5 houses, remains largely unknown, as much history is lost during later years where a future king wars against the different houses. In the 6th decade before Accord, the Tower of Magic is constructed, under the rule of King Rada III. During this decade, the families of the 5 houses rebel against King Rada III, and after overthrowing, they form the Council of Elders. The council would then use the chambers in the Tower of Magic as their meeting place, where they would govern Great Kourend for 50 years, from the 5th decade before Accord to the 1st decade before Accord. During these decades, a severe famine strikes the kingdom, where we see Lord Hosidius IV draft the Letter of Hosidius, where he presents to the council requesting more land. This letter reads, quote, "To the most venerable chamber of the Council of Elders, I hope that this time finds you well and that your times are bountiful. Sadly, I cannot say the same is true for everyone in this great town of ours. This morning, I passed children starving in the streets, unable to walk, or already dead in the gutter, and although I have the ability to help them, I am forbidden to do so. My most venerable council, I beseech you to grant my request as mentioned in previous meetings at your chamber. We can grow enough food to extricate us from the famine we have experienced these last 5 years. However, I cannot do so without the appropriate amount of land. Only yesterday did I meet with the lords of all houses, and we agreed in principle that all houses would offer half their land so we may farm more. Within 6 months, we can have enough food to halt this famine. I understand the most venerable council's concerns of the political implications of such a move. However, the political security of this town will not matter if it is unable to feed itself. Anarchy is only months away, and as such, any delay in this decision can have catastrophic results. I know the council is wise, and I am sure you will see the decision you must make is to grant this request. Yours most respectfully, Lord Hosidius IV." End quote. The Council of Elders then approves his request, where the House Hosidius becomes the largest house on Great Kourend even today, as well as allowing it to provide majority of the kingdom's foods. During the 1st decade, the Council of Elders is disbanded. The lords of the 5 houses come together to write the Royal Accord of Twill, a document which detailed the transition of authority from the Council of Elders to the lords of the 5 houses. This document detailed the rotation of succession between the lords of each house, with one house lord becoming the Grand Lord of Kourend for 1 decade at a time. After, they would then pass the office to the next house lord. The cycle would go as the Lord of Hosidius, known as Lord Hosidius I, rules Great Kourend for 1 decade. Next, Lord Lovacane I, then Lord Shazian I, Lord Piscalarius I, and lastly Lord Arceus I, in which afterwards it would pass back to the House Hosidius. This prevented one standing monarch from ruling over the whole kingdom indefinitely. The Royal Accord of Twill that states this does not last permanently. Next week, we will talk about the rise of a new king, corrupted by the Dark Altar. All right, now we're going to start wrapping things up. So, as we've been mentioning for the past couple episodes now, we got the release date for the Theater of Blood, which is expected to come out on June the 7th, which is a Thursday. Now, you never know. It could get pushed back a day or two or whatever. With Monkey Madness 2, they pushed it back to the Friday because there's some things they need to fix right before releasing it. Fair enough for them. They don't want to release a broken piece of content or something with a lot of bugs. So I'd rather them release it a day or two late to fix some things, to really, take the time and care to make it what they want it to be. But anyways, it is expected to come out on the Thursday, which is the June 7th, like I just mentioned. So I have the day off. Deegan, you have the day off as well?
Yep.
So we're hoping to be able to jump into the raids on day one. Again, we don't have all the details of what's going to be in it. For all we know, there could be like a 1 mil charge for each time you die. So maybe we'll rethink it if that is the case. But the fees are cheap and whatever. Hopefully we can jump into it on day one. So we would like to see if anyone else who's listening would like to join us on that. We're going to try to get in as soon as possible. So yeah, if it's something that you guys would like to do as well and you're going to be able to do it as soon as it's kind of released, definitely let us know and we'll start getting a party together. We're looking for like combat level 115 plus. 120 plus is, I guess, recommended since this is endgame content and you're going to need pretty decent gear to get in to do it anyways. But if you're around those levels and you would like to try it and maybe get us some good loot, whatnot, but yeah, let us know. We'll get a party together and we can jump into it as soon as it's released, basically. So yeah, let us know if that's something you would like to do and you're going to be able to do. That being said, if you're not able to get on for when it's first released, it might be kind of like a first come, first serve, but we can reserve spots if you let us know beforehand.
I mean, it's no guarantee that I'll be joining. It might, most likely will be something that Dills is just hosting. Just kind of dependent on like how many people show up and whatnot. And exactly how the raids turn out. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun regardless.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully like the death fees aren't too much because I'm not rolling in dough and I'm not about to shell out some money for bonds to pay for this. You know what I mean? So hopefully it's like 100K tops. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because it's going to be hard. We're probably going to end up dying a bunch before figuring it out. Because it's supposed to be tough, right? Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be like the definition of like end game content. So we're expecting it to be harder than Chambers of Xeric. You know?
Oh, it's going to be much harder. And like less forgiving.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, put the word out there. Let us know in game, Twitter, email, Facebook, or Discord if that's something you are interested in. But with that being said, you're probably wondering, well, what are the platforms that we could find you on? So if you want to get in touch with us on Twitter or get updates with the show, it is at The Wilderness RS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And finally, our in-game clan chat is WildCC.
Like the CC is Wild CC. I know some people like think it's just Wild, but it's like Wild space CC. I feel like I gotta clarify that.
Yeah, so you would search, Wild CC, not Dills or not Deegan. There was one time where like I plopped into the Dills clan chat and there was like someone hanging out in there. And I'm like, hey, this isn't like, you should come to Wild CC. That's where everyone is. I was like, I was wondering why it was so empty. And I'm just like thinking, how long have you been hanging out there all by yourself? Like, fuck, this podcast is dead. So yeah, Wild CC for the in-game clan chat. And our Discord is posted on both Twitter and Facebook. If you would like a link but if you would like a link and you can't find it or you don't want to search those things, you can let us know and we'll get you a link. So yeah. And Deegan, since you got your little streaming fun day on Friday, what are your searches? I don't know.
Twitch and Twitter is DeeganRS, one word. Yeah, I'll probably be doing like little maybe an at everyone before I go live. I don't like doing that in the Discord because I fucking hate when people do that to me, and so I'll try to not. Like, I'll probably do one before, a little heads up when I'm going live, and I'll probably tweet it too. Yeah, DNRS. I'll probably be streaming a bit more this week. Most of it will be the pure content as I quest them, and then raids and random stuff because I do got to make money for the pure as I'm AFK training and crabs and stuff.
Kill.
But yeah, Twitch and Twitter are DeeganRS.
Right on. All right. So with all that being said, should we shut her down?
Yeah, I think it's time.
It is time. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week.
Yeah,
for episode 85.
Yeah, have a good one.
Take it easy.